Alright, so here I am, my next vlog, and I was watching some of my other ones, and man, they're just so nonsensical. And, I don't really feel like making a vlog, but I'm just gonna do it. I'm trying to get in the habit of it. I'm not so sick as I was yesterday. And, I'm sober today, totally sober. No intoxicants, lots of chocolate chips, a couple cups of coffee, but no pot, so the bags under my eyes are getting a little lighter. I'm starting to think a little more clearly. I'm not as sick as I was yesterday. Made some potatoes, cut up a pineapple, made a torpedo, but read some book, chanted 2.5 rounds. It was hard to get reading the book though for the first few verses. After a while I got on the roll and on chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita as it is. And some of the concepts I was like talking about smoke on the fire. Even though the fire is pure, there's still smoke. I was talking about your work and your activities and how if you do things for the Supreme, might, since everything is materially contaminated by the modes of nature, even though there's some smoke byproduct, you can still make your work pure in service of the Lord, if you so choose. And another part was, I was even talking about, like a merchant, and sometimes if he has to lie, I hope I don't take this out of context, but a merchant has to make a profit, so even if he has to lie and say, oh, for you, dear sir, there is no profit, he has to hide his profit, but that is still in the mode of goodness, because that's just, or dealing with the black market, because that's just part of the modes of nature, in some instances. But I used to sell these electronic dog shock collars. They were just like anti-barking collars. I don't think that they were too painful or for a dog, but they just teach a dog how to stop barking. But I just didn't feel right about it because the shocks. So I stopped selling those, but I'd rather just not be a part of it, even though I was making, some good extra cash here and there. But it was that. And what else? There's one part that was pretty good. Talking about the 4 classes. And to work in your class, even if you work in your class as a Brahmin, Vaishya, or Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishnava, and Sudra, which is like the intellectual class, the administration class, the merchant class, and the kind of labor class. And to just work, according to your proclivities, your natural kind of inclination. To do your job imperfectly is better to do in that than another man's job perfectly. So it's just saying, you find your natural tendency of that class and you stick to it. And I still have a little bit of trouble finding out kind of like what class I'm in. But I think I'm more attracted to like the Brahmin class, or maybe the Vaishnav class. I don't want to be like really an administrator. I just kind of, yeah, be one of those. Not sure. I should ask some questions about that anyway. And I'm trying to dig my brain. There was one part that was kind of really cool. Well, I was talking about that and describing the modes of work of goodness and passion and ignorance. And how to tell the difference. I'm basically saying, like every man is born into ignorance, into the material conditioning, and they have to, get their way out by coming into knowledge. And I was talking about, sense gratification and how, it could be, it appears in the beginning to be very nice and alluring and some happiness there, but it's, in the end, it always is poison. It always ends up in some kind of divorce, or depends. In one purport, the example is given of a man and a woman meeting and having sexual relations, and it's appearing to be very nice, but in the end it just turns to poison, divorce and heartache, and and that's been my experience so far. Most of my relationships, so I'm finding solace in just remaining, alone and sober. But all these days that I got up sober before this are kind of coming together. I think, I can't wait just to have some really good sobriety and clear-headedness and determination. It was talking about determination and to be enthusiastic and to be situated in the mode of, or not affected by happiness or distress, steadfastness, and in your determination. And then I was talking about be careful not to be morose, being glum, being very glum, or miserable about your circumstance or your situation, and you just do things, even if your master is, having you perform duties which aren't, conducive to spiritual life. Sometimes you have to do them because they're the master, but you're not affected at the sinful reactions. And don't be indolent or lazy. Oh, and here's the one quote that was in there. It was activities that will take 1 hour to perform drag on for years. I really like that part, of just of being lazy, or what was the word? Procrastination. And then I mentioned that, so I thought that was good. And so I'm excited. This is a newer version of the Bhagavad Gita, so I'm excited. I got an older one, in 1972, so I'm very excited to read that after this one. So I think I gotta get up and start. I have to just get more of my head into books. I mean, there's so much knowledge in these books, man. I just watched this video before bed, and it's all about, the screens. Everybody's attached to screens, and, Chris Hedges recently said in the State of Journalism, people, they can't deconstruct the world around them by not reading these philosophical books, and then, so you just get these scatterbrainers. And he's afraid that only print can snap people out of their ignorance. I agree. Like religion has been so demonized and all these things. And what was another thing it said? It said, now we're in the age of where religion is irreligion, and irreligion is religion. And it's so true, it's the age of hypocrisy and irreligion, and people manufacture and concoct their own religiousness, and so we're coming into a weird time in the world, and it's the age of destruction. The earth is just getting poisoned, polluted, resources snatched up. I'm in a very good position. I have all these conveniences and these iPads, and but there's people starving in the world. There's enough food for everybody, and it's just the material conditioning, the illusionary energy of the Lord. External energy is perverted of the internal energy. So, and I've been watching these crazy street preachers on YouTube with these Jesus evangelizers, and they got their message wrong. If they're agitating people's minds, they're going to these drum circles and these places and they're telling everybody they're sinners, and presenting God to them in a very kind of stern manner, or very fear God type way, and it really riles some people up. And you're not doing it right if you're doing it that way. You're supposed to sound, you're supposed to sound relishable, the pastimes of the Lord, and if you're creating more aversion and animosity towards the Lord or God, by your evangelism or your preaching, then your knowledge is spoiled, because that is fanaticism and zealotry, So that's the thing I love so much about Krishna consciousness, is staying engaged is so joyful. It's a very joyfully performed religious type devotional service practice, with the singing and the hearing and the chanting, and it tells about all the not so nice things in the world, but that's reserved for the students, the people who are students, and when you're going out preaching and doing book distribution, we're doing that in a nice way. People can actually get some knowledge, hopefully get them a book, give them some real information, instead of just being like, you're a sinner, you're a sinner for you drinking and drugging and going to these places where people are just trying to enjoy themselves, and calling them sinners and they're going to hell. That's just not the right way to do it, and that's not good. You gotta allure people, in a nice fashion, or else the knowledge is spoiled, and you're just creating more aversion and animosity. But I'm at 15 minutes here, so I think I'll do this more often after I'm done reading, and try and make a video about what I just learned. Hit a like, hit a subscribe, check out my videos. I'm just making spiritual progress. See you later.